Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite new technology, I guess. It's not all that new, but it's certainly becoming more available, and those are CGMs, or continuous glucose monitors. For a long time, we've always had to do the finger prick for diabetics, and I'm terrified of needles, quite frankly. I'm perfectly okay with blunt force trauma in the ring, but those needles I'm not good with. So, regardless of how much you do or don't like needles, it still sucks to have to prick your hand. Imagine doing it 10 times per day, let alone once per week. So, CGMs are these little devices that you implant. Usually, there's certain areas of the body that you'd implant them, typically in the back of the arm, and they stay there for several weeks. And what they do is they're continually there's some variation in some of the apps and how they work, but consider them continually transmitting information about where your blood glucose is throughout the day. Amazing technology. And I think, I stand firm on the fact that everybody should have a CGM for a month because let's put it this way, it brings personal responsibility home. So, gosh, I love to have these donuts in the morning, but maybe they're not quite affecting my blood sugar, or my metformin's helping, or this or that, or my Ozempic, whatever. And you eat the donut and you realize that it actually spikes your blood sugar despite everything else. It's now on you to make or not make those changes, but the responsibility lies with you, and that's what CGMs do. So when I hear ads on TV for CGM, it's one of the few drug technology things that I don't throw something at the TV for. But when people talk about lowering their A1C 2 or 3 points, it's because they are understanding better how to manage their diabetes, typically through, ideally through food, but sometimes through medication management or glucose dosages. And a lot of these pumps are tied in with the insulin pumps. But this particular study was really looking at CGM use in the non-diabetic population, which is why I think that everybody should get a CGM for a month. Now, not reasonable for most people, at least not right now. If you can do that, you can pay cash. They usually run about $300 or so a month. And what this tells you is, so what can we do if we have this information? First of all, like I said, it's the responsibility. It's the idea that, well, we know that maybe that donut's not good for us, but when we see it spike our blood sugar, it's now confirmed, and it is now up to you to avoid them or modify them. But it also helps us understand different things. So looking at age effects, so we look at postprandial response. So basically, our glucose levels spike up after we eat. Generally, anything over 140 in non-diabetics, 1 to 2 hours after a meal, is considered a postprandial spike that we don't want to go above. So age plays a role. Diet, like what you're eating, of the glycemic index or glycemic load of a meal has a role. How fast does that hit? Does that sugar hit our bloodstream? Eating speed. Just freaking slow down and eat slower. Take longer to eat will better your glucose response. Apple cider vinegar, as much as it's touted as a wonderful, amazing thing, you should have this for your toenail fungus all the way up to your cancer. The reality is most of the evidence probably suggests that apple cider vinegar helps us digest better and manage those blood sugar spikes. So apple cider vinegar is a tool. Exercise has a big impact on postprandial glucose. So if you decide to have your meal and then go for a walk around the block, you're going to have a lower spike. Sleep, specifically not sleeping, it is well studied that people who don't sleep enough will end up eating hedonistic behaviors. So they'll have bad choices for breakfast, and it will spike their blood sugar more. Fat in a meal will generally help blunt the sugar response. That means that for breakfast, you shouldn't be having carbs. I've never been a big fan of oatmeal, certainly not donuts, certainly not bagels. The first thing to hit your system should not be carbohydrates, should be fat or protein, which is one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of real peanut butter. Our microbiome, our gut flora, has a big impact on our blood sugar as well. So looking at, we know that having a higher fiber dinner, or having soluble fiber in dinner, can affect our blood sugar in the morning. That has to do with short chain fatty acids. Artificial sweeteners will negatively affect our microbiome and can have an impact on blood glucose. But the bottom line is that these things are all, other than age, are all modifiable. And having a CGM can help you understand how much food combining, when we eat, what order we eat, whether we're exercising, has an impact on our blood sugar. So hopefully at some point, you talk about we waste and throw money on a bunch of other shit that's ineffective, and for the same price of a statin or something else, we could be giving people a CGM for a month and educating them about how what they eat affects their sugar levels. As always, I'll post a link to this particular study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.